What's good, y'all? It's Wanyá. I do art. Follow me on all my socials: Instagram, Etsy. That's about it.
Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're here. It's going to be a short video, but also a kind of fun video. We're going to take a look at 10 tracks that I would like to see in Gran Turismo 7. Of course, I did a video a few weeks ago of the cars that I would like to see in Gran Turismo, and today I want to go through tracks. The tracks obviously are equally as important as the cars. So, Gran Turismo 7 didn't really introduce many tracks that weren't in Gran Turismo Sport, which is kind of disappointing. But as I was playing through recently, I thought, I want to see some tracks. So I thought of ones that would work as, what the game is focused on is there's not really many ovals, so we only have one in here. But I wanted to really focus on tracks that were kind of in areas that were already in the game. I think there's only one that's not within the section you can see within the map of the game. So I focused on that, and I focused on ones that I felt would work in the game. And every single one of these are tracks that I've raced at least once in some video game. So first we're going to start with Watkins Glen International. This is a track in New York in the US. Used to be an F1 long time ago. Isn't a high enough FIA grade to be in that, but it would work to be in Gran Turismo. Now, I've played this through many different games. Obviously, it's been in NASCAR games forever. And it works because it has multiple layouts, which I also like. As you can see in the image here, it features the boot section, which isn't in the NASCAR game, so you kind of just go straight here. So this track I feel would work for the multi-layout racing. So it kind of gives you two tracks in one, which is very fun. And Watkins Glen's a nice track. Give you something in New York. Next track, the only oval I'm featuring is Martinsville. Let's get another picture of it here. Here we go. It's a basic oval. We kind of already have an oval in the game with Daytona and whatever the Bristol knockoff track is called. But the oval with the big banking. This gives you a little different. You got a short, turn, but those straights are pretty good. You can get a decent acceleration up to about 90 miles an hour for at least NASCAR. So it'd be kind of cool to see how this would work in something like Gran Turismo. I think it would be quite fun. Next track we're going to go to is Bahrain International Circuit. This is one that's used in Formula One and is honestly a quite decent track to race in F1 games, and typically provides a decent F1 race, considering it's one of the desert tracks that aren't typically super exciting. But this gives you very, very good options for layouts of tracks. And Bahrain's the one track that I said isn't in the areas that's on the game, on their maps. So they'd have to work that out. But yeah, I like it because you have your normal layout, which is highlighted here. You have the layout which connects in this way, which they did for an F1 race, I think in 2010 maybe. You have the outer layout, which they used for the Secure Grand Prix in 2020 as one of the replacement tracks during the COVID pandemic schedule shakeup. That was one. I mean, you got whatever route this takes here, so you could do that. You got a little short route here, which used to be featured in F1 2020 and 2019 and games before that. I don't know if it is anymore, actually. It may be, but I don't think it is. So you have the route here. So there's many different layouts you can get with Bahrain, which would be quite fun to have in the game. Next track is another F1 track. A lot of these are former F1 tracks, current F1 tracks. Trying to think of tracks within the world. Hard to necessarily pick ones that aren't F1 related tracks. I don't really know racetracks outside of F1 or NASCAR, and NASCAR is mostly oval. So trying to think of international tracks, it's a little harder to think of them. But F1 has many great tracks. This is the Korea International Circuit. This used to be an F1 track from 2010 to 2013. It's not really featured in any video games, and it was one that wasn't super successful for F1. That's why it's not on the calendar anymore. But I like Korean things, and things that involve Korea are exciting to me. And this track is honestly quite fun to drive. I did race it in F1 2012. I bought it for like $3 on my computer and played it on that a little bit. I think we have a video on it on the channel, actually. It was quite a fun track, and I'd like to actually be able to race it in a newer video game that I could play on my PlayStation instead of a game from 10 years ago that I gotta try to have my computer struggle to play. But it's a fun track. It looks like there's another layout option here, so maybe they could include in the game, but I like it. Now, how realistic it is for most of these tracks, I don't really know. I think something like Watkins Glen, Bahrain, and maybe a few other ones that we get to are more realistic than something like Korea International Circuit, but you never know. There's not many Korean things in Gran Turismo, so it'd be kind of cool to have that in there as well. Next one is the one I feel is the most unlikely. This is the Valencia Street Circuit, which, another one that I tried in F1 2012. I think this track's super cool. Now, I don't know if they scan the tracks or what for Gran Turismo. I assume they probably do. Valencia Street Circuit is no longer a thing. I've seen a video going through like basically the track what it is now. So to scan it wouldn't really be possible, and it's not really something that's going to every race in the real world, and it seems like Gran Turismo, at least for tracks that are still raced, they try to feature, or ones that they make themselves. So I don't know if something like Valencia Street Circuit really makes sense for Gran Turismo just based on that, because they don't really feature old layouts or tracks that don't exist, and this is sort of just a street circuit in Valencia. So, this one, track in Spain, we already got a track in Spain, but I'd love to see it in the game either way. How likely that is, I don't know. Next up, one of the most beloved F1 tracks that's no longer raced is the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. I would absolutely love to see this. This is one of my favorite ones to race in F1 2016. That's why I played that game so much. It was purely just to race Sepang. This track is so cool. Such a great flowing layout. There's 2 long straights. It's just a awesome, awesome track. And I would absolutely love to see something like this return to video games and be featured in Gran Turismo 7. Now, it looks like there also is potential alternate layouts here, so that could be kind of cool to have another track option in the game. And again, Sepang International Circuit. It's a beloved track, and I would love to see it featured in Gran Turismo 7. Now, next up, one of the most iconic tracks in the world, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, there are multiple layouts. Of course, you have the oval, but you have the road course here through the middle, and there's multiple different layouts of that same road course that can be used. This in here looks like a one that might have been an F1 road course layout. You have this in here that they use for IndyCar and NASCAR. So definitely different layouts for it that can be used. So Indianapolis, of course, again, one of the most iconic tracks in the world and one of the biggest races to win is the Indy 500. So seeing a track, Indianapolis, being in F1, or not F1, being in Gran Turismo would be absolutely brilliant. So, next up, we have Circuit of the Americas, one of the coolest road courses that are in America. The only purpose-built Formula One track in America. Also raced in NASCAR Cup Series. It's really cool because of that being featured in both series that I like to watch. It's cool, and again, a brilliant flowing section here of corners combined with long straights, the off-camber triple apex corner, just a beautiful, beautiful track layout, and I would love to race this in Gran Turismo 7. Next up, we have Circuit Zandvoort, which is the track for the Dutch Grand Prix, and it's quite a fun, older style racetrack, and it definitely combines straights in flowing corners, which are awesome, and you got the 2 banked corners, one here and one here, so you can really carry a lot of speed to that banking through this first straight into the banking here, and it's just overall a really fun track, kind of tricky to get used to, but it's so cool, and I would absolutely love to race this in Gran Turismo 7. Again, that's one from a country that's not featured in the game, just like Sepang, Korea, or Sepang being Malaysia, and the Korean circuit. All those are ones that are not countries featured in the game, so it'd be kind of cool to get some new countries in the game with a track. Final one is the Hockenheim Ring. This track is absolutely awesome to play. I raced it in F1 2019, and it's just such a cool layout. I really do enjoy it, and it's been a while since I raced that track. I should go back to F1 2019 just to play it, but it's definitely a nice track, and if there was ever a time that Gran Turismo should feature an old layout, I would suggest the old Hockenheim Ring, as you can see here, where it used to go way out into the woods. Now, having really seen them feature old tracks, I've seen them like Project Cars, like Monza with those layouts. It did have the Hockenheim Ring in that game. But Gran Turismo doesn't really seem like a game that features old tracks. But if it did, I'd love to see the Hockenheim old layout. And again, like I said, Valencia Street Circuit. So one honorable mention that I want to see is the Algarve Circuit. I forgot what it's called, but Portimao, as you would know from watching F1. That track's absolutely awesome. That's just an honorable mention of another one that I would like to see in the game. And also Imola. That was another one. Those are a little lower down my list, those two, but I would love to see both of those featured in Gran Turismo 7 as well. But those are my top 10. Watkins Glen International in the U.S., Martinsville Speedway in the U.S., Bahrain International Circuit in Bahrain, Korea International Circuit in South Korea, Valencia Street Circuit in Spain, Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia, Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the U.S., Circuit of the Americas in the U.S., Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands, and the Hockenheim Ring in Germany. Let me know down below what tracks you want to see, and if you think any of these tracks would be fun to play in Gran Turismo 7 as well. So that's that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.